I stood paralyzed, my heart pounding like a war drum, as a dozen workers slammed a metal fence into the earth around my backyard. Margaret Hensley, the HOA president, her angular face framed by a razor-sharp bob, stood with arms crossed, a smug grin curling her lips. "Community property, Mr. Larson," she sneered, her voice dripping with venom. "You should have read your contract more carefully." Fury surged through me as signs reading, "Private area, HOA members only," were staked into saw soil. But Margaret didn't know the secret buried beneath my ancient home, a hidden truth, nearly a century old, that would become my weapon to tear her empire apart. My name is Daniel Larson, and 6 months ago, I thought I'd found paradise. After 12 grueling years as a software engineer in San Francisco, I'd clawed my way out of the city's chaos, SAVYNGS in hand, to buy a colonial gem in Elmwood, a quiet town with cobblestone charm. The house was a dream, bay windows, ornate woodwork, and a sprawling backyard kissing the edge of a public park. I envisioned a vegetable garden, a meditation nook, a sanctuary. The realtor had waved off the HOA as hands off, focused on property values. The contract was a brick of fine print, but I was too enchanted by the house's allure and low dues to scrutinize it. I signed, blind to the trap I'd walked into. For months I lived in bliss, sanding floors, painting walls, and sketching spring garden plans. Then, one crisp March morning, the roar of trucks and shouting men shattered my peace. I bolted outside, coffee sloshing in my mug, to find workers unloading steel fencing along my yard's border. Margaret, in a tailored gray suit, her eyes glinting with condescension, declared, "We're securing the community recreational area. This land's always been common property." I gaped stunned. "This is saw land. It came with the house." Her smile was ice. "Section 12, paragraph 4 of your agreement says otherwise. This parcel's for community use." I scrambled for my contract, finding vague, common areas, language but no mention of my yard. When I challenged her, Margaret's CIVY lighty vanished. "The board's interpretation is unanimous. The fence is permitted. Interfere, and I'll report you for obstructing community improvements." Workers glanced at us, hammers paused, but I felt powerless. "Take it to the board meeting," she spat, though the last owners tried and failed. Defeated, I watched them erect a 5-foot fence with a locked gate, Margaret overseeing like a dictator, her triumphant glances slicing through me. That night sleep eluded me, her words looping in my mind, fueling my rage. At 2 a.m., I tore through basement boxes, hunting for property documents. In my frenzy, I toppled an old bookcase left by the previous owner. Behind it, the stone wall's texture shifted a faint outline of a door. My pulse raced as I traced the seams, fingers catching on a hidden latch. With a soft saw-click saw, a panel swung open, revealing a narrow tunnel, its musty air thick with secrets. 5 feet high, 3 feet wide, it was framed with weathered oak beams, eerily well preserved. Faint boot prints in the dust suggested past siders, not recent but post-construction. Metal brackets held candle stubs, and niches hinted at Prohibition-era liquor storage. This wasn't some crude hideout, it was a masterfully crafted passage. Flashlight in hand, I ventured in, cobwebs brushing my face, the air chilling as I descended 50 yards to a wooden door reinforced with iron bands. A ladder led to a trapdoor disguised as a landscaping rock. Peering out, I was in my fenced-off backyard, now moonlit, with a sign proclaiming, "Coming soon, exclusive HOA members recreation area, private pool va pa vy lion." Margaret wasn't just stealing my land, she was building an elite enclave for her cronies. I retreated, my mind ablaze. The tunnel was my ace, a secret path to reclaim what was mine. The next morning, I skipped work and headed to the library. Evelyn Morris, a silver-haired local history buff, lit up when I mentioned my address. "The old Grayson house," she said. "Built in 1922 by Amos Grayson, a businessman tied to Prohibition bootlegging." She showed me grainy photos and a survey map revealing my property originally stretched to the park, perfect for discreet river shipments. Rumor was Grayson built tunnels for smuggling, Evelyn whispered. Authorities never found them. My heart pounded. She added, Your land wasn't sub-EVY dead when Elmwood formed in the 70s. It's still yours to the park boundary. Clutching copied maps and records, IVY cited my neighbor, George Ramsey, a retired lawyer. Over coffee, he sighed. Margaret's done this before, tried grabbing the Carter's yard for a gazebo. She's connected. Her cousin's a city official. He studied my documents. These are gold, but her influence clogs courts. Fight smart. Expose her to the community. His words sparked a plan. Use the tunnel to gather EVY Denke, not just sue. At the HOA meeting, Margaret ruled like a monarch, dismissing concerns with a flick of her wrist. When I pressed about the recreation project, she deflected. Approved last quarter. Details forthcoming. Her board, led by Victor Hayes, a hulking contractor, nodded like puppets, except for Claire Donovan, who shifted uneasily. After, HOA Secretary Lisa Bennett slipped me a note. At a diner, she confessed. What they're doing is wrong. Margaret and Victor had falsified maps without votes, planning a members-only pool funded by HOA dues, all for their clique. Lisa feared for her job, her daughter's medical bills depended on it, but offered internal documents if I shielded her identity. Margaret destroys anyone who crosses her, she warned. That night, Margaret called, gloating, inviting me to a groundbreaking ceremony for the project. I accepted, plotting to use the tunnel's access. I installed wireless cameras in the fenced area, capturing Victor's crew using shoddy materials and skipping safety codes. Footage showed them shifting survey stakes to expand the site, while Lisa's emails exposed Margaret's embezzlement, fake vendors funneling HOA funds to her accounts. Most damning, Victor bribed Inspector Tom Reynolds, caught on tape discussing consulting fees. Margaret's overheard rant sealed it. Finished before anyone learns the truth. I've sold memberships. I allied with Claire and project manager Ethan Cole, who admitted Victor's pressure to skimp on concrete VYOLAT codes. At a charity gala, I feigned interest in the project, offering tech skills. Margaret, smug, invited me to planning sessions at her La VYSH home, where she and Victor detailed their scheme, assuming I'd join their side. Over wine at a bistro, Margaret boasted. Some don't deserve their property if they miss the fine print. We've adjusted boundaries before. Next, the Harper's Ridge. My phone recorded every word. For a Phase 2 meeting, I proposed seating, land for a board seat, held at the site. I tipped off a city inspector, not Tom, for a surprise check and alerted reporter Sarah Klein to lurk nearby. At the site, Margaret gushed. You see the VY shown, Daniel. Victor unveiled plans to seize more lots. As they gloated, an inspector's truck rolled in, followed by Sarah's news van. Margaret's facade cracked. The inspector cited violations. Sarah pressed for comments on fraud and falsified boundaries. Margaret raged. This is private. Sarah shot back. We're on Mr. Larson's land. He invited us. Simultaneously, Lisa, backed by Claire, exposed Margaret's crimes at an emergency HOA meeting, with George explaining legal risks. Residents gasped at my EVY Denke packets, shared VYAA secure website. Margaret hissed. I'll sue for defamation. I revealed the tunnel, explaining my legal access. I never crossed your fence. I emerged from saw land. The inspector flagged Victor's shoddy work. Sarah's photographer captured Margaret's unraveling. The fallout was seismic. Margaret and Victor resigned after a no-confidence vote. Sarah's exposé, HOA fraud unearthed, sparked a city probe. Margaret faced fraud, embezzlement, and corruption charges, sentenced to 4 years with thousands in restitution. Victor's plea deal netted 18 months. His company collapsed, his home auctioned. Tom got 6 months and a lifetime ban. The city council saw resignations. The HOA reformed under Claire, with transparent bylaws and a shared garden on my land, open to all. Lisa's new role secured her daughter's care. George led reforms. The tunnel became a museum, drawing tourists, its plaques telling of prohibition and justice. My story went viral, igniting a homeowner rights movement. I spoke at conferences, built an online resource, and got emails from folks like Jim in Arizona, who saved his farm using my tactics. Debates swirled. Was I a cunning hero or a scheming disruptor? Some called Margaret a scapegoat for systemic HOA flaws. Others cheered her downfall as a strike against corruption. In the garden under the stars, I reflected. The tunnel, once hiding liquor, now exposed greed, proving patience and truth could outshine power. My sign read, Path to Justice, 1923. Elmwood wasn't just mine, it was ours, a testament to a community reborn.